So I saw this video come in and report with an accompanying article about this mega church in California in the Fresno diocese. About really, fortunately or unfortunately, I think most of us consider this maybe a little unfortunate, certainly with the nature of what's going on, but the largest mega church in California, and this is likely going to be somewhat the norm, and that's what they've alluded to. I think most of us kind of saw the writing on the walls, and I'm sure many other people are going to kind of chime in about this as I am. I just kind of had some sort of something to say about it, so I thought I'd just make a video and talk about it for what it's worth. But they get into the whole priest crisis and the shortage of priests, and what this is, what's essentially going to be happening. This is happening by me right now. There's talks of a somewhat, not to this degree, but definitely combining many churches together because of this necessity, because of the priest shortage, which they blame on young men, recruiting of young men, societal issues, family issues, and they say the legacy of the sex abuse scandal that's going on or has gone on throughout the years. And I think most of us know, if you're somewhat Orthodox or traditional minded and you're around some traditional Catholic communities, I've certainly gone and I still attend a Latin Mass, but predominantly I go to a basic Novus Ordo parish. I think it's a very good one, though, in my degree. But first of all, I'll say I have no problem with these mega churches. Has to happen. It has to happen. I like small churches. I like moderate churches. I like big churches. I don't really care. As long as the faith is not watered down, I'm all for it, and the community can be led the right way with proper pastoral care, proper direction with various councils that are in there. I'm talking about the parish councils and liturgy committees. If they're led properly, you can have a great parish. However, this whole idea that we have these priest shortage because of these kind of big, kind of hot button issues, most of us know there would be no priest shortage if really at the family level, if you have traditional communities teaching the faith, it is very easy to get kids to, and then to be adults, to want to become parish priests. So by me locally in our traditional Catholic community, they had some of the highest, I think, priestly vocations ever, I think, in recent years. And our local diocese, not in that like their traditional Catholic communities, I'm not sure how that all works, but our local diocese at this year, first time, I think they have no recruits at all. I think, but year prior, I think they ordained maybe 2 to maybe 4. I think it was maybe 2 priests. And this year, again, like they have nothing. And if you look at what's going on, I mean, who wants to be a priest? And not so much because of all these things I mentioned. It's that if your own family, your own parents, your own siblings, your friends especially, have zero interest of really promoting it, it seems uncool. There's no push for the faith in the home. Why would we expect any young person to want to grow up and aspire for this? Back in the past, when we had things like traditional altar servers, especially obviously male altar servers, where we have now, it's kind of a known fact that being an altar server is not as cool as it used to be. Nothing against female altar servers, that maybe I'm kind of hinting at this. It's just there's a kind of a known fact that once you kind of introduced kind of female altar servers, the idea for a male altar server, that kind of level of authority being on the altar, which that in itself is something else that's been kind of devalued, kind of lost its importance and kind of its cool factor, for lack of a better word. So with my own kids, I already have one of my kids who is 10, what really is entertaining the idea of becoming a priest, and I don't, of course, shun that away from him. I think that's a great thing, but I think he's only really gotten to that point by seeing priests put up on a pedestal. Of course, in our family, and obviously we've watched old Catholic movies, we watch a lot of Catholic media in the house. And that is ingrained throughout his environment. And I'm not trying to put my own personal experience, but that certainly, I think, is an example of the broader spectrum. Because if you live in a world where most people, as they kind of addressed in this article and in this video, that if you're consumed with materialism, getting the best paying job, or kind of keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak, the idea of being a priest really is probably the bottom of the totem pole, where in the past, being a priest was something to be valued. And also, not everybody can just become a priest. You had to be pretty wise to become a priest, or at least have you couldn't just have base level intelligence. Maybe that was maybe certain case, maybe mid 20th century, but especially throughout antiquity and history, you had to have some level of intelligence. And it's still, at this point in time, I don't think they just take everybody. But my point is, it was something to be valued. And my whole idea, what I'm trying to get at here, is that whether you like this idea or don't like this idea, I don't think anyone really likes the idea of having a priest shortage, but these mega churches, I think some people might actually prefer this, even if there wasn't a priest shortage. I think some people just like having that community feel. And generally, if you got a big mega church, there's, at least we hope, there's some other activities and things going on for at least the families and growing in faith and virtues throughout your personal life and, of course, the families. At the end of the day, though, even if you have a mega church that is very vibrant, and I'll say this too, I think at the end of the day, this has to deal with men, because there is another big mega church by me. I'm very friendly with somebody who is, I believe, trying to be a deacon in this. It's a Protestant mega church, I'll say that. And what I've heard from them is that even though I've gone to the service, but I've been in there for various things, like a function, I've seen what was going on there, and just because I'm friends with my friend there, it's a mega church, tons of families. They're increasingly growing, but their men's ministry still can't get anyone to get in the men's ministry. It's a very small group of people, maybe 5 to 10 people. And that is because there's a big female dominance throughout the air and the aura there with the songs, the quote unquote worship that they do. That I said to him, like, this is no surprise. This is kind of happening in the Catholic Church. And I'm pointing that at priests, because obviously priests have to be male, that for a masculine audience and the idea of even just going to mass, that's just, level one, that's just not going to carry itself over to, say, a son wanting to become a priest. So if the father has already checked out of the equation because of, say, feminized masses, or I won't even say feminized masses, I won't say that too much, although that's definitely can be the case. But if they're checking out already because for one reason or another, and they're just going to check the box on Sunday, obviously they're not going to be instilling a lot of Catholic values in home, because they've already kind of devalued a lot of just what's happening at Mass. We can expect the same thing to kind of fall, not too far from the tree to their sons, that this idea of being a priest is going to be just not seem cool. And I think there are a lot of really cool things about being a priest that you could get into. Of course, I would love to be a priest, actually. In retrospect, that was something I considered before I had kind of a recalling to the faith. But I just find this article very interesting and this video very interesting. It's just kind of setting the stage for what the future is. And in some way, I don't want to say to overuse the term gaslighting, but it almost kind of seems like that, where they're telling us the problem, almost kind of digging in. Well, like, I think there's kind of lighting up the people in the comment section to say, well, what do you think is causing this? And certainly that's what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, I think that it's very simple what is causing this. What is causing this is a lack of traditional Catholic faith in the household, and I would say specifically with the father leading the household. And I would say secondarily, not to take the blame away from the father, because at the end it is for sure there are a large percent of that falls on their shoulders, but on the local diocese. So I will say that if you are, not being fed, quote unquote, in your local parish, definitely step in there, do something about it, or find a different parish where you are being fed and search out that way. Otherwise, these mega churches, as great as they could possibly be, if you're led the wrong way, or if you got a bad priest or just bad parish councils and just a bad cultural environment at that church, and by bad I mean it's not leading you towards virtue and faith, then that priest shortage is going to get basically smaller and smaller. And I think, fortunately, I do think the tide is turning, as you've seen recent statistics talking about. I think there's going to be a gradual uptick. Will it be enough? I don't know. But we've seen these statistics recently about how Americans' new Catholic priests are becoming much more, says they're younger, confident, and more conservative. So I think there is a kind of a silver lining here, a light at the end of the tunnel. I do think this will turn the tide when you get some of these priests ordained and get them out there. I think they are going to be motivating voices that are going to turn the things around a bit. So just my 2 cents in the matter. I'd love to hear what you guys thought about the article if you guys got a chance to see it, and if you have any comments on this priest shortage.